Earthbag houses are something that I've been super interested in for a long time. The only real drawback to it is that it's incredibly labor intensive. For me personally, it felt like I was stepping back in time and being connected with my ancestors. We wanted to build a building that would stand for 100 years, or hopefully even longer than that. Earthbag houses are something that I've been super interested in for a long time. They're highly sustainable, super cheap. You can build them almost anywhere in the world, and they're incredibly strong, which is, it's amazing all the benefit you get from this one type of house. The only real drawback to it is that it's incredibly labor intensive. But other than that, there's so many benefits to these things. Earthbag houses are one of the strongest structures that modern man makes. They've done tests on them in California, and they withstand the highest rating of earthquake that the machines that we have are capable of producing. And it's such a simple structure made with, predominantly with unskilled laborers, and it can still be so powerful. That whole idea was amazing to me and super inspirational. So it was something I always wanted to do. And when I had the chance to come here and build, that was the first idea I thought of, was like, man, this is the perfect climate to build an earthbag house and to see, how big, how cool can we make it. Earthbag houses themselves are relatively new. So the idea of building inside of a sandbag started, I think, in the 70s. But the concept that they're really built upon dates back for thousands of years, right? So this is just adobe. And adobe existed in cultures all over the world. In South America, there's adobe structures that still stand that are over 1,000 years old from the Azazi people. You see similar structures all around the world in this concept of building with mud and earth. And to me, that was another huge part of this project that was so cool and so almost poetic. It sounds silly, but like every day when I was building, just having my hands in the mud and the earth, slapping it onto the walls of the house, you just feel so connected to the earth. And for me personally, it felt like I was stepping back in time and being connected with my ancestors and all the people for thousands and thousands of years who built in similar ways to this. So we started to build this project initially for Roz, who's the horse manager here. My plan was, she told me she was moving to Tenerife and that there wasn't anywhere for her to live. So my plan was to come and build her a house. And initially, I'd never built an earthbag house before. And my initial idea was like, yeah, I'll be able to come for a month and I'll just build this thing myself and you'll have a house to stay in. And now this is my third time being here. I think it's been about a total of 4 months I've been here, maybe 5 months, with probably 3 or 4 other people's help almost all the time. I figured it out the other day. It came out to a total of about 900 hours of labor have gone into this house. Definitely way more than one person could do in a month. I severely overestimated that. But the original idea was to build a house for Roz, and then somewhere along the way it just morphed into like, let's make something really amazing that the finca can use and they could have it for whatever they need it for. We wanted to build a building that would stand for 100 years, or hopefully even longer than that. And we wanted to make it really beautiful and cool and artistic. So that's how we wound up with what we've got now. And I'm really stoked about it. I love what we've done so far. It's such a cool project to me because it started out as like this idea that I had that I could do completely alone. And then I got here and I fully realized how much I needed a team. I needed people. And it's been so cool every step along the way in this project, how little contributions from different people in the finca and different volunteers have made such a big difference. People just adding a little artistic twist, or somebody just coming, as simple as like coming and helping me carry stuff for a day, made such a big difference to the overall project in ways that like I don't think I would have been even a third of the way through if I was just doing it on my own, and it wouldn't have been anywhere near as cool. There's a ton that's gone into this house, but basically it started out with digging out a foundation. So we didn't want the house to flood. It doesn't rain here in Tenerife very often, but it does rain enough that it can cause flooding. So the first step was just chiseling out the ground, which is mostly stone, so it was a lot of hard work. Felt a lot more like mining than digging. And we dug out a foundation, and then we built a French drain to run around the length of the house. So the idea is if any water pours down, instead of it going under or damaging the house, it'll just sink into our drainage system and run out the back of the cliff. After building drainage and foundation, our next step was to start laying bags. And the bags was definitely the majority of the project, right? So the way that works is we're taking a sandbag and we build a stand for it. You put the sandbag in the stand, and then you're filling that sandbag with a mixture of clay and sand that have been moistened. And then once it's filled up, we take the bag, we lay it in its place just like you would lay a brick. And when we get a complete concentric row, a full circle, we go through and we stamp them all with a tamper until they're really compacted, super hard. And it's crazy, if you go, now you can't even see the bags, but when you could see the bags, if you go and feel them, we had a few that we had to chop down and break apart. And I was expecting them to cure up to be like the strength of a brick, but it cured up more like a solid stone wall. It would take me such a massive amount of time to chip off bits of these bags because they dried up so strong. So after a row of bags is laid, we would then lay a course of barbed wire or 2 courses of barbed wire on top of the bags, and that works kind of like a mortar between the rows. So we take these wet bags on the ground, they're damp, they've been tamped down, there's barbed wire on top of them, and then we take our next row of bags and lay it on there, just the same way you'll lay a course of bricks. And then we tamp those down, and what happens is the barbed wire seals into both rows of bags and becomes like a very flexible mortar. And that's a big part of what gives these buildings their strength. Even if there were an earthquake or some massive force crashed into it, the building doesn't want to tumble like a standard brick would because of the barbed wire. It holds itself together, it's loosely cohesive, and there's a tensile strength that binds everything together. So kind of like the building can wobble even. It won't unless you exert a ton of force on it, but it's got a bit of wobble and give, and it'll always come back to center. Then after we laid the bags, our next step was we had to start laying buttresses. The buttresses are these outcroppings that come out of the wall. We tried to make them decorative and make them look cool, but the main idea for those is structural integrity. If those don't exist, this structure won't hold up on its own. So that's just extra security to make sure that everything's going to stand solid. And then we just kept going up with rows. And it's a little complicated building this way because you have to have a lot of foresight. You have to have everything planned in advance. When you're building with wood, you can go back and nail things into the wall if you want to add an addition. When you're dealing with earth bags, there's no real sensible way to go in and post things into the wall. So anything that we want into the walls, we have to build into the walls as we go. So you'll see on the inside, there's some furniture that's just floating furniture. It's been built into the walls as we went up. It's made as an integral part of the house. And then once we finished all the bags, finished building our internal furniture, we got to the top, and then it was laying cob all across the bags. So the cob provides, it turns the structure into a monolith, right? The cob all connects to itself, which connects all the way around the structure and makes it one big piece of building, which again is adding a ton of strength. So even if you could damage one little part of this, there's so much cob, which basically functions as really strong duct tape wrapped around this building. After we put the layers of cob on there, we go back with a final layer of cob that's got some lime in it, which makes it a bit more waterproof. And we went over the whole surface of the house with this limed cob that we use as a plaster, and we just trowel it on, smooth it out, try to get it as smooth as we could while still looking kind of rough and rustic. We wanted to maintain that earth looking finish. And then while we were doing that, we had people putting in tile mosaic all the way across. And now we've got to the point where we're pretty much on finishing touches. So Nathaniel is planning out and building this beautiful reciprocal roof for us. And this is one of our final steps now. At least for important stuff, this is one of the final steps. So we're gonna have this beautiful roof that supports itself all the way across. We're gonna finish off with some kind of like pretty looking thatching or something. And then other than that, it's just kind of making the place pretty. We're gonna do some work on the inside. We have to pour a little bit of an earthen floor, maybe lay some tile, do some mosaic on the inside, and then do that same sort of like smooth finish coat plaster on the inside. But it's been super cool. This whole structure is built mostly, you know, like going with the spirit of things here. We built this whole structure with almost entirely free materials. You know, we're using clay that we've got in this big hill over here, scraps of wood that we found all over the place. We did have to buy some things. I think our overall cost is somewhere around, probably around $1,500, 1,500 euros so far. But I think for a structure that's should very likely stand for over 100 years, that's not a bad price. Other than the labor and the heart and the soul and the sweat that's been poured into this thing, it's been an extremely cheap endeavor for something that, I don't know what other people are going to think of when they look at it, but when I look at it, it just looks so cool and natural and beautiful. I feel really grateful to have been allowed to be a part of this project, to get to guide it and lead it, and to just get to work with so many intelligent builders and thinkers and artists and people who've just really come together and made a super cool thing that I think the whole Finca can be proud of, because everyone here in one way or another contributed to it.